G'day guys, Merc here, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at Anthem. Anthem has been out of its pre-release play window for about a week now. I've been playing it since a day before that pre-release window ended. Normally, if a game's just come out in the first week, I'll try and sink a good 20 or 30 hours into it if I can. Anthem has managed to pull a disappearing act on 80 of my hours this week, and I'm still trying to work out exactly how that happened. The game is a lot of fun. In essence, it's a third-person looter shooter with some really solid combat and flying mechanics, set in a dangerous, fictional world and presented in absolutely impressive graphics. If you're completely unfamiliar with what the game's about, this part of the opening cinematic should give you a little bit of context. Don't worry though, this video will be spoiler free.
We are freelancers. We leap head-on into danger, rescuing the lost, keeping the monsters at bay, and silencing the Anthem's terrible cataclysms.
This game has a deep and interesting lore and backstory that I'm still trying to fully wrap my head around. The story of Anthem is definitely one of the big drawcards for me, but I've been a sucker for BioWare's storytelling since the days of the original Mass Effect. The great thing about those types of games was, to some extent, it let you tell your own story. Your choices had real meaning on the game world. People could die, be saved, you could charm your way out of a fight or use bullets to the same effect. Well, that doesn't seem to have made its way over to Anthem. At least, not yet. There are two dialogue options in every conversation, and choosing either of these options will usually only result in minor changes to the story. Anthem has its own story to tell, and you're coming along for the ride, in your shiny death suit. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I definitely would like to see some actual choice in future story offerings, rather than just the illusion of. The main story itself is intriguing, and had some awesome cutscenes to punctuate your explosion-fueled Javelin expeditions. Missions varied, but usually saw you flying around the almost paradise of Bastion, in a team of 4, finding secrets, solving puzzles, fighting all manner of wildlife, titans, scars, bandits, Dominion forces, you name it, and helping the few, unfortunate residents of your home base Fort Tarsus who have found themselves in a spot of bother on the wrong side of the wall. Of course, you're also tasked with silencing the mysterious Shaper relics that dot the landscape. Most of the friendly main characters are genuinely humorous, likable, and well voiced, which goes a long way towards creating that sense of immersion within the game. On that note, I found it enjoyable that the player character actually participates in conversations, rather than playing the silent protagonist. BioWare have said they'll continue to add to the story via free updates across the game's lifespan. Moving on to the gameplay itself, each Javelin has a unique playstyle, feel, and ultimate ability. You've got the tanky, weighty feeling Colossus Javelin, which can take a ton of punishment for the team when it's not dealing it out. The Ranger Javelin is a well-balanced fighting suit that's good for a bit of everything. It's also the first suit you get in the game. The Storm Javelin glides around the battlefield like it's floating on air, throwing out elemental destruction like it's going out of style. It can be best likened to a mage class. And of course, my favourite, the graceful and deadly Interceptor, specialising in close range attacks and abilities, and teaching me the joy of constant momentum. Speaking of which, flying in Anthem is truly phenomenal. Aerial combat is definitely something that's hard to get right in video games, especially when using a keyboard and mouse instead of a joystick or controller. But BioWare really got it right here, and the environments you'll find yourself in are all designed with that in mind. The notion that flying around the battlefield can not only be fun, but practical and beneficial. It also serves as your main mode of transportation around the game world. It feels good, looks great, and it complements the gunplay spectacularly. Combining dodges, flying, attacks and abilities in any order feels fluid and intuitive. There's a combo system which provides even more depth to gameplay with different abilities and attacks, acting as primers and detonators. Setting these off in the correct order will cause extra damage and a pretty explosion. Helpfully, you can detonate targets primed by squad mates, and vice versa. All enemies I've run into so far have some kind of weak point, which you can attack for massive damage.
So here's this giant enemy crab. Attack its weak point for massive damage.
Masterwork and legendary items, available predominantly in Anthem's endgame, add to these systems extensively. I spent quite a bit of my time customizing my build with items that had bonuses that suited my playstyle, and even reworked my playstyle a few times to fit the bonuses on some of the more powerful items I picked up. Anthem's endgame, while limited in variety in week 1, is where I've been having the most fun and spending the most time. It was definitely a good feeling to go from absolutely getting my butt kicked on hard strikes, to flying around like a rocket-powered cyborg assassin destroying everything on Grandmaster difficulty and above, once I got some proper gear and customized my components and bonuses. There is a crafting system which I didn't use a whole lot, as I found I got most of my upgrades from the missions I was running, and just didn't have need for it. The rep system is tied to the crafting system, and the quality of gear you can craft depends on your rep levels with the 3 different factions in the game. You can style out each javelin to your heart's content, with a ton of customization options in terms of colors, materials, and parts. Want to be a giant, bright pink eyesore? You can do that. Or the complete opposite like I did. Sleek and deadly. Graphically, this game is seriously impressive. My mid-end PC with the GTX 1060 had a bit of trouble running 1440p 60 FPS on anything above high settings. Even just on high settings though, the game looks spectacular. I can only imagine how good it would look running maxed out on a 2080 Ti. Overall, I haven't had a hard time overlooking a few bugs in this first week to truly have a great time with Anthem. There's a lot to love and I definitely recommend checking it out over the coming months as they continue to add to the game, especially if you've got a couple of good mates to game with. If I've missed anything in this review, if you'd like clarification or more information on anything mentioned, or you just want to tell me I'm cool, drop me a comment below and I'll respond when I can. Don't forget to drop me a quick like on the video if you enjoyed it, as it lets me know you appreciate the content and helps others find my videos and channel. And hey, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you'd like to see more of my videos as they're uploaded. Till next video, or I see you on the stream, this is Merc out. Cheers.